Hey everyone, I want to talk briefly about novellas. A novella is something that's too short to be called a novel and too long to be a short story. King seems to write more than a few of them, though what exactly gets done with them changes due to their awkward length. Cycle of the Werewolf was published by itself with illustrations, though in very limited quantities. Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption, Apt Pupil, The Body, and The Breathing Method were published in different seasons, a collection of novellas. The Mist was put into Skeleton Crew, which was mostly short stories, and the first four Bachman books, Rage, The Long Walk, The Running Man, and Roadwork, were published separately, though they were really short enough to be called novellas and are usually now put together in a collection called the Bachman books. Good luck finding Rage these days, though. Personally, I like the collection of four novellas idea. Different Seasons was great, so now it's time to talk about another one of these, Four Past Midnight, which contains the novellas The Langoliers, Secret Window, Secret Garden, The Library Policeman, and The Sundog. It's not nearly as good as Different Seasons, but it's by no means bad, so let's talk about The Langoliers. At its heart, this is a time travel story with a unique twist. The idea is that if you travel in the past, there's nothing there because it no longer exists. And if you travel into the future, there's nothing there because it doesn't exist yet. The past is eaten by creatures who get dubbed Langoliers. In the story, a plane full of people go through a rip in time. All of the people that were asleep at the time survive. Everyone else just ceases to exist, leaving behind their belongings, including things like hearing aids and surgical pins. Luckily, one of the passengers is a pilot who is deadheading back to Chicago, and he can fly the plane. Other passengers include a young blind girl, a teenage drug addict, a musician, a writer, of course, a James Bond-style secret agent, a few other people who are really not all that interesting, and of course a goddamn maniac. I remember watching the movie version when it was shown on TV and being excited. I had really liked the story, but I remember being really disappointed by the film. Watching it again for this review, I had a very interesting train of thought. Throughout most of the film, I was impressed by the acting and cast and wondered what made me not like the film the first time. But then at the end I remembered. Before I get to the bad, let me talk about the good. The cast are B-listers, but they're the familiar type of B-listers that you enjoy seeing. You got Dean Stockwell as the writer, David Morse as the pilot, Mark Chapman as the musician. Not the guy that killed John Lennon, but the actor who portrayed the guy who killed John Lennon, who amazingly has the same name. And of course Bronson Pinchot as the maniac. Now maybe you don't recognize those names, but I can guarantee you'd recognize the faces, or in David Morse's case, his voice. The movie is remarkably faithful to the book, though at times I did feel it was almost too faithful. I got the distinct feeling, especially near the end, that it might be confusing to people who hadn't read it, though I could be talking out of my ass there, who knows. The main problem with the film is the special effects, which are so ridiculously bad that it takes you right out of the film. Some of it is kinda nice looking, like the rip in time, but most of the effects are done by simple blurs or color shifts, and the Langoliers themselves they all look like Pac-Man's evil brother, actually. It's a shame that bad effects taint the movie. Taint. No, but seriously, I guess it's just better that they spend their budget on getting decent actors than on good effects. I've sat through films that had bad effects before and not had a problem with it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the Langoliers are so ridiculous looking that it negates how frightening they may have been. They just look like walnuts with teeth, and when they're eating things you want to yell, nom 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 nom. I tell you guys, in 1995 the world was just not ready for CGI, especially with a television budget. They could have done better effects if they went with the older, cheaper methods. That being said, if you can get past the effects that made even Sci-Fi Channel originals point and laugh, it's a half-decent flick, mostly notable for its performances. If you think of Bronson Pinchot as merely bulky, and you don't think he can pull off evil maniac, well, try this one on for size. And Dean Stockwell and David Morse are always decent. I'm going to give the Langoliers a 6 out of a possible 10.